Hi there. In a world where nothing is certain, that means anything is possible, right? If you want to fulfill your dreams and desires, you are in the right place. You absolutely can have a life of happiness. Everyone deserves an abundance of love, laughter, success, health, and wealth. I'm Tara Chadzakis, and you're listening to the Happy, Inspired, Motivated podcast. The show that brings you meditation, mindset, and motivation. So start by giving yourself permission to be awesome. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hi there, and welcome to this week's episode of Happy, Inspired, Motivated. Now, today I have KC Rossi with me, who is a business and leadership coach, and she helps women scale a profitable and soul-aligned business. She is the founder of the Soulprint Method, a system that helps entrepreneurs leverage their strengths joyfully to enhance performance and thrive. She is the host of the Women Developing Brilliance podcast, a show dedicated to growth strategies for leaders with a purpose. And I have actually been a guest on Casey's show, so you can find me over there. Casey has been a full-time entrepreneur since 1991 and has built 6- and 7-figure businesses. She is a certified aromatherapist, a mind-body eating coach, and an NLP practitioner, which allows her to bring a holistic and intuitive approach to her coaching. So without further ado, I'd like to bring Casey into the show. Hi, Casey.
Hi, Tara. How are you?
I'm really well. How are you?
Good. It's nice to see you again.
I know. How are you feeling now? How's your taste and your...
It's coming back. Little by little, it's coming back, which is great. I have been trying to retrain my smell with essential oils of fennel and lemon. And they're saying to keep, the system of smelling those like 2 oils twice a day to start retraining your smell. And that's helping. I'm starting to be able to pick up on some of those notes where I wasn't able to before.
Yeah. Wow, you have to retrain your smell. That is crazy, isn't it?
It really is. I know. Luckily, I'm connected with a bunch of aromatherapists, so they're giving me lots of tips and tricks.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, my daughter's saying something about you have to burn an orange or something.
Yes, my niece, who is 11, sent me a TikTok, and that's all the rage. And funny enough, we did that little exercise. I put her on FaceTime. We did it, and then all the smoke alarms went off in my house. Crazy. There was like a big black poof of smoke and black. And, but I was able to taste the orange that day when we were doing it. You char the whole entire thing. And that actually kind of did reinvigorate the taste.
Oh, so it does work then. That's really interesting.
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, I can't say like my smell got 100% reversed from it, but we had a lot of fun doing it. And blew up all the bells and whistles in the house.
Always a good thing.
Oh my gosh, I know. We had fun.
Oh, so Casey, it's so good to have you on the show today. I'm really, really pleased. As I've been on your show and now you're on mine, which is amazing. So we've got so much to share, and I'm just really looking forward to diving into lots of things that you do. So can you tell us a little bit about what it is you do with your time and your work with entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to reconnect as well. And so currently right now, I help female entrepreneurs who are really looking to have a soul-aligned business. Yes, of course, profitable, but also something that's going to line up with their core values and virtues and feel good. I tend to work with a lot of women over 40. So they're ready to kind of ditch all of the shoulds, the black and whites, the 9-to-5s, and really just kind of carve their own path. And at the end of the day, feel fulfilled and also have enough energy to enjoy their life. Because I think so many of us high achieving women have played into the paradigm of grind it out, work hard to get success. And then unfortunately, we hit a certain rock bottom of burnout. And then we realize, wait a second, what am I doing this for again? So my, real philosophy is more of a yin yang approach. and
Okay.
giving ourselves permission to be integrated. So that's what I do now in my business and leadership coaching. And it's taken a lot of years to get there. I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. I've experienced burnout
Wow.
myself.
Yeah.
That is why I'm so passionate about like squashing what success looks like. I've grown a 7+ figure business, and that's what caused a lot of burnout for me. So I'm really, really passionate about redefining what success looks like for our own self and following our own heart wisdom to get there, not a blueprint of an expert, not someone else's framework, and not what
Yeah.
maybe the number of zeros look like at the end of our bank account.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So when you did your when you experienced your burnout, what was your business then? Was it the same thing you're doing now, or was it something different completely?
Completely different, actually. My best friend and I, back in the early 90s, we had actually developed 9 different businesses that ranged from
Wow.
external painting to fine arts to a watercolor gem and mineral company. So we did the gamut.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it was exhausting because we never really gave each one of those endeavors a
Mm.
chance to flourish. So we were constantly reinventing, looking for that magic bullet. Of course, this was when we were very new in our entrepreneurial journey. And to your question, our 10th business actually took off, and it was manufacturing chocolates and confections to upscale gift and gourmet. So
Wow.
we ended up running that business for 17 years.
Ooh.
That was our most successful financial endeavor. And
Yeah.
that's what really drove me deep into burnout
Mm.
and really living out those messages of what success looks like.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, that's an actual physical property, so it does take a lot of. Were you actually making the things, or were you selling them? Were you doing all of it?
We were doing all of it. So we
Wow.
started out of the kitchen in our home because we were taking care of my business partner's mom, who had
Hmm.
had a stroke and she needed elder care. And within 8 months, we grew and had to rent a kitchen facility to do our work. And we did that for a period of time and brought in employees, but we were growing. Like, it was such a new concept. The line that we had developed was just
Mm.
very ahead of its time. So it grew fast. So we ended
Oh.
up expanding into an 8,000 square foot facility. We had 25 employees. We had 100 SKUs that we created. And then we would travel to these gift and gourmet shows. So sometimes we'd travel 26 weeks out of the year, meeting and greeting buyers from like Saks Fifth Avenue and American Doll and, all of the different things, right?
Yeah.
So it was quite an experience. Absolutely.
I bet it was quite exciting as well, wasn't it? I mean, this was something new for you. Your 10th business that actually took off. So that's phenomenal. But yeah, I guess the burnout wasn't very good.
Yeah. And, it took a while to even recognize it. And then it took
Mm.
several more years to pay attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you kept going, didn't you? Mm.
Absolutely. I
Okay.
was like, oh man, this shows that I'm working really hard. Like, I really almost wore it as a badge of honor. Like, yeah, this is showing that it's honest work and sweat of the brow. And I must be
Mm.
doing a really dang good job at this.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, looking at the things on your website now, you talk about boundaries, putting in boundaries to maximize energy. So, I mean, you obviously weren't doing that at the time, but what kind of boundaries do you recommend that people do that so that they create the best energy for themselves?
Yeah, such a brilliant question, Tara. And I think that healthy boundaries are so very important to have a sustainable business as an entrepreneur, but more than just creating them on a spreadsheet, it's putting them into practice. And that takes a lot of discipline. It also takes some self-compassion to realize that we're not running after perfection, but
Mm.
it's just about showing up every single day and like putting our best out there. So a couple healthy boundaries that have been really effective for myself and my clients are inbox boundaries. So when are we looking at our inbox? How do we manage the expectations of the people
Mm.
that we're communicating with? That could look like putting in an autoresponder on the weekends. That could look like not grabbing our phone when we first open our eyes, but really
Yeah.
acknowledging a deep work block of productivity and what's going to like expand and light us up, whether that is our personal self-care morning routine
Yeah.
and or developing something where we're working on our business. So really stepping into that CEO workflow, that is absolutely huge and such a crucial piece of our day before we start reacting to our inbox. That one specifically took a long time for me because I was really ingrained into a jump how high mindset.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
was like, ooh, this client needs me. Ooh, I better respond right away. And there's this like adrenaline rush too that comes in when we can serve and people are happy. So if any of your listeners can relate to perfectionism or people pleasing, that one's a huge one. And
Yeah.
when we can release that and put that healthy boundary in and stick with it, like I put that in years ago, but you would still see me tweaking out an email at 7 o'clock on a Sunday or responding to a client at 9:30 when it really wasn't urgent. So it took a lot of time to actually realize if I'm going to lead the way, I'm actually being looked at. My actions are setting the stage of, does she practice what she preaches? And so that helped me because integrity is so important to me. So when I started looking at it from that perspective of like, wow, all of my actions are actually being looked at. And if I'm trying to help clients put in healthy boundaries, I absolutely have to do that first. So that helped for sure. Another healthy boundary is really understanding our core values, because when we do, it makes our decision-making process much easier, and it helps us with knowing what's in the yes lane and what's in the no lane. And that's, I think, really, really important, especially as we want to do all the things and we're looking to scale. It's super easy to think we have to say yes to everything. And for any of your spiritual entrepreneurs, I know that sometimes we can get caught into, well, this must be a sign, or if it's coming into my path for a reason, and for that, I don't want to turn away this potential opportunity. And we can often, again, say yes too much, say yes to offers that either don't align with our target audience or don't really mesh perfectly with our core values. And it can really take us down a path of we're busy, but we're not really seeing traction because we're saying yes to things that aren't necessarily optimal or match up with our goals. So I would say those are a couple right off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah, I must admit, it's very easy, especially in the beginning, to say yes to everything because you believe that it comes to you because there's you're supposed to work together or things like that. And it's very hard to say no, especially if it's a client as well, if you're not the right fit and you think, but I need the money and it's a new client and this and that. But actually taking that client on can be worse. It's detrimental to your growth because obviously, like you said, it's not in alignment.
Absolutely. That's such a fabulous example. And I think that, again, when we are in alignment with a core value of, say, like integrity or matching up with our divine right client, when we're on a strategy session or a discovery call and we're seeing some red flags and we're seeing some things where it's like, I don't know if this would be a perfect match for me or the divine right client fit. However, something trumps it and we're thinking, well, I could use the money, or well, I could make the shoe fit. That is ultimately setting ourselves up for disappointment. And so again, being so crystal clear of your virtues makes your yeses so much easier.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I've been on calls before and I've thought to myself, well, I could, change this a little bit, or not that, maybe they're not the right fit, but I'm sure they'll be fine. And then like the other day I was on a call and I was just like, my God, I want to work with this woman. You just feel like we would be such a good fit, and you just get so excited because you can feel the connection. And that's what you need when you're talking to clients. That's when you're in the right space.
Absolutely. And I love that you said that, because whenever I hear myself say it should be fine, then I absolutely know that that's like this indicator. And it doesn't even matter what it is. It could be like, I should bring a sweater. No, I'll be fine. I should go and get a glass of water. No, I'll be fine. I should work with this client. No, it'll be fine. Like whenever I hear my inner voice saying that, I'm like, okay, pause, take a breath, because you're not going to be fine.
Yeah, fine's not a good place to be. You want to be good, you want to be excited, and and when you said about the boundaries for emails, I am terrible for that. I have to say, I have it in my the contracts that we have between myself and my clients. I even have specific times that I say I will look at emails during these times, but I do still look at them at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night. If I'm sat there and I have nothing else particularly going on, I'm like, oh, I'll just have a quick look. And then, yeah, you get exhausted, don't you?
You do. You get pulled in. And I think, the beauty of the root of that is that we love our work and we want our clients to feel heard and responded to. So like it's coming from a really great place, but it is a practice. Like I don't have it dialed in 100% either. Like I have a few more parameters around when I keep my phone on silent and when I have the ringer. That has helped a lot because our nervous system starts to become programmed into reacting to notification beeps and buzzes. So I would say for those people still struggling with that particular thing, silence the phone and even put it away so it's out of sight, out of mind. And then when you do pick it back up, you can just be committed to playing full out, being mono-focused and giving it your all versus just like dipping our toe in. Well, let me just take a look quick. Let me just pull down the notification screen on my cell phone just to see if there's anything urgent. Those are some of the things we just fall into, right?
Yeah. What's going to be urgent at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night? I'm sorry. We're not like paramedics, it's not that dangerous, is it? Like,
Totally.
I'm just going to die. Oh my God. So, you were talking about being able to scale this kind of things. Like you say, if you're there all the time, sorry, you're not going to be able to have free time and step back to a certain degree. And I know you work a lot with putting your life's work into a digital asset, which helps create passive income. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that benefits people? Because people don't actually know quite a lot about passive income, do they?
Absolutely. And, I always preface the word passive with air quotes because, of course, good work takes effort and time. But when I think of passive, I think that it's something that the cash register can be dinging without us being a live centrifugal force of that to happen. Of that to be an equation that works. So that being said, what I love to do is help my clients take their life's work or the biggest problem that they solve and turn that into an online course. And that course could be something that is a focus course that's just so narrowed in on a specific problem. So I think of it as a thin sliver that they're helping their client make a transformation. Or it could be something so huge that it is their signature program that is like their step-by-step blueprint, the framework of still what helps them get to that point B, but it goes a little bit deeper into all the different layers of the journey. The beauty is we get to put our trainings in one place that's like engaging, that we can reach a lot of people. So it becomes a global asset of our portfolio. Alternatively, when our business is just built on one-on-one live, work with, coaching or consulting, or even the one-to-many model, that's limited. That will have a ceiling. There's still benefit in that. Like it's some of my favorite work because you get to go really deep with somebody. But I think to augment and diversify our portfolio, it also protects us in time of economic disruption. So very important, as we've seen with 2020 and the pandemic. How do we still have cash flow despite any challenges, whether it's COVID or something else that maybe makes us go flat for a period of time, which I just experienced this month. So when we have an online asset, whether it is a masterclass or a webinar or a workshop or our signature programs, there is something that we can fall back on and serve and reach a lot more people. Also, I think a huge benefit of developing an online course is that we're selling when we're sleeping. And if you are a coach, it's brilliant because then you can use your coaching sessions to really go deep and personal with your client, and then just gift them or build it into part of your package all the educational pieces that are the building blocks or the foundation to some of the most common problems that you see in your industry. So
Yeah.
I like to use it in tandem. It's like, how can I have the biggest return of investment? How can I be super effective with my time when it is me, just with that client?
Yeah.
And how do you diversify your portfolio so you're touching all of those layers and reaching more people on a global basis?
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm creating the Overnight Success Academy, which is exactly the same thing. So I have modules that I'm creating with resources. I have some guest speakers in there, and I'm also running that in tandem with one-to-one coaching as well. So they're
Awesome.
getting the resources and they're getting the knowledge, and they're having the time to, for example, a week to work through whatever comes up with because of what they've understood and what they've learned, and then we discuss it together. And I thought that is exactly the same as you, that it was a better use of my time rather than going to everything in the call and having having to explain the concepts and looking at the concepts in the call and then seeing what comes up. It just adds more burden to them because they have to think on the spot. They have to be quite present, and maybe that day that they don't think of something that is really important, but they have time to think about it over the week, which is really, really helpful. So
Absolutely. I think it's really brilliant. And it's a win-win because not only is it allowing you to go deep into your work once and stay super fresh and passionate, enthusiastic about the material, but it also provides this opening of convenience for the client because they can put it in their busy schedule whenever they want.
yeah.
If they are more of a night owl, they could be in their, fuzzy slippers with their cup of cocoa in the evening and taking in the
Yeah.
material. And to your point of going deeper on the call, it's more interesting for the coach, right? Because
Yeah.
we get to navigate more of the granular, higher thinking elements. And it's much more valuable to the client because there's a place for the material to land because you've already provided the
Yeah.
concept, the structure, the support principles, and all the other things in your digital academy. So I'm a fan. I think it's a fabulous dynamic duo.
Yeah, it is. I agree. And yeah, how crazy that we both do the same thing. That's really good. Because I know a
Yeah,
lot
we're
of
cut from
coaches
the same
don't.
cloth.
Yeah, we are. Exactly. Definitely. So I wanted to actually touch on something that I read on your website as well. So you talk about closing the gap between who you are and who you're destined to be. How do my clients, or how do my listeners, sorry, understand who that future person is and how do they get to that point?
So great. I love that you're going there. And I think one of the biggest things is giving ourselves permission and stepping into dreaming big. And I think for people that have fallen into a pattern of needing to go to Google for their answers, that one of the biggest things to help them navigate this new territory is start turning within, start really knowing who they are at a soul level, what is important to them, how do they want to feel. I think tapping into the feelings is so very important because
Yeah.
that will motivate our actions. And then really taking a note of these big dreams that we have. And at that point, we can then start seeing where we are now and where we want to be. And we're not looking at that gap in a shameful way. We're not doing it to
No.
say, man, we're less than. We're being curious, like little investigators of our own life, where we're like, okay, now that I know where I want to be and I'm giving myself permission to get there, where am I now? And what are the things that I need to put into place to get there? How do I bridge the gap? And maybe it is something that is a skill set related thing. Maybe it's something that we do need to reach out to a professional expert or mentor who's traversed that terrain and can say, hey,
Yeah.
here's some potholes. Let me help you shine a light. Or maybe it's a mindset thing. And a
Yeah.
lot of times it's the third one. A lot of
Yeah.
times it's us getting in our own way. We don't need to learn anything more. We don't need another certification. We have everything within us to achieve those benchmarks and goals. But many, many times it is the mindset that needs to be shifted from something that's fixed to something that's growth, so we can really tap into our unlimited potential.
Yeah, I absolutely love that you touched on that. It's really important that, because when people are at a certain space in their life, they don't want to dream big because it seems so far away, and it just seems absolutely unattainable. And if they feel that if they dream like that, if they feel that they have these big dreams, they're just setting themselves up for failure, and then they get overwhelmed and upset that they're not there yet. And it's so easy to create a future dream based on your current reality.
Absolutely.
You look at where you are and you think, okay, well, this is me, this is my life. So what can I achieve to make it a little bit better? They
Yes.
don't get the whole the large vision, because it just seems so distant, because they're disconnected from themselves and they don't believe in their true power.
Yeah, I want to underscore two things that you said. One is we're looking at our past and current events to dictate what's possible in the future.
Yeah.
And that is a backwards way of approaching it, because we will always then dovetail into just fine. And it goes
Yep.
back to that
Yes. Yeah.
just fine, or like it's good enough. And I think that for people that are probably listening to this, and I feel like we're on the same wavelength, where the status quo is not enough. We're
No.
just getting by, and basic is we're not going to tolerate that anymore. Like, we know there's something more, we know there's something bigger, and we're going to
Yes.
step into it.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. You can just I think a lot of people are waking up to that, but I don't know if they're shy, or whether they're scared, or maybe it's a combination of both. They don't really want to step out and put their hands up and say, this is what I want. This is what I want to achieve. This is my dream, because they're scared of being laughed at. They're worried that the people that they have in their circle of friends or their family are going to be, make do with what you've got. Why are you being so crazy? That's never going to happen. It's not for people like us. And that isn't that, that, like you said, it's a whole mindset thing. Once that shifts, and I do a lot of mindset work on myself, and I've got rid of a lot of limiting beliefs. But I can feel, for example, this past week, it's on a Tuesday, but this past few days, the shift that I'm having at the moment, and the growth that I'm having, and it's going so quickly that I'm literally, my ego is like saying to me, Tara, maybe you just need to spend the day on the sofa today and cancel all your appointments and do nothing. And that is something I never do. I can't stand the TV during the day, but I can feel it pulling me, because it's my mindset saying to me, just, slow down. You don't want to go that fast. You don't want to change things that drastically. And it's, I have to work on it and push through it.
Absolutely. I mean, growth and expansion is rarely easy. There
Yeah.
is a push out of our comfort zone. There is a fear of not knowing what's on the other side. And we're comfort creatures. We want to be protected. Like, it is really our mind's job to keep us safe.
Mm-hmm.
And no one can do the work for us. So I think it is a fierce commitment to ourselves to stay the course and to keep showing up. I mean, yes, of course, we need to exercise self-compassion as well. Like, if it's just feeling like we're pushing and forcing, that's not sustainable either.
No.
However, I think that, like, the sweet spot is like, yep, it's not whether or not if challenges are going to arise, it's knowing that they will arise, and that we have the strength within us to navigate them and keep moving forward and keep showing up for ourselves. I mean, just embracing that, I think, is really, really huge for life and business.
It is, yeah. And I know, like, when you see people that have been doing the businesses that you're, or the field that you're in, and they've been doing it for longer than you, it's very easy to look at them and admire what they've achieved, but then compare it back to yourself and say, well, I'm not there. I'm not at that level. I'm not good enough to get to that level, because they're more educated. more experienced. Well, of course they're going to be more experienced, but you don't see that logically. You just see somebody else's 5-year journey and compare it to your 5-month journey and think you're a failure and give up.
Absolutely. And I think that really is another opportunity to lean in to discipline and to put blinders on. And I'm a fan of digital minimalism, not only in how we run our business, but those healthy boundaries, again, that we put in where we allow ourselves to endlessly scroll and fall down the pit of comparison, when in reality, like the true achievers are only comparing to their baseline. That is it.
Yes.
They're committed to showing up 110%. And then, the next day comes and we're going to take yesterday's personal best and use that to compare to our baseline. That absolutely takes discipline, because there's a lot of shiny object syndromes on social media. In fact, I was just researching today, and some of the latest statistics are the average person is spending 145 minutes a day on social media. That is 2.4 hours of scrolling. And you and I both know that that's mostly, mindless chatter. There's so much noise out there. And when you really think about stepping back after your 2 hours of going on social, do you feel better about your life? Do you feel great about your size or your stomach? Do you feel great about the numbers in your bank account? Like, no, because you've just taken in so much digital noise and highlight reels of everybody else. And so I think we have to put our own limiters on what we do and what we spend our time in. And that definitely takes some practice.
It does. Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you there. I go on Instagram, I come off and I'm like, oh my God, my diet's not very healthy. I don't eat lots of this. I don't eat lots of that. I don't look like that. I don't this. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with me? It's just,
totally.
You do get so sucked in, don't you? It's crazy. And I know, everyone uses filters and they do this and they do that. So it's always the best foot forward, isn't it? Yeah. And I know from people that, like friends that I know in person and through social media, and I haven't seen them for a few months, and I've met up with them and I've been like, oh my God, how are you doing? I've seen all your pictures from the summer, you've been having a great time. And they've turned around and been like, well, actually I've been going through a divorce and my life's been a mess. But they've just shown the world what they wanted them to see. And that's really important to remember. These people that you're watching are not necessarily having the good time that you think they are.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And it's so interesting. I think that we fall prey to using social media as a coping mechanism, both as the poster, trying to almost convince ourselves that life is going to be okay and there's some kind of hope, like your friend that was going through a divorce. But in a way, it was a coping mechanism to pull out, hey, here was my trip from XYZ when we went to Cancun, or here's the time when I was pushing my daughter on the swing set. It's almost like this catharticness many times. I think we're not necessarily doing it to be inauthentic, but I think that it's a way that we have become accustomed to cope with life. And then both definitely. As the receiver of social media, when we're scrolling, it could be a distraction, like where we're just kind of falling prey to creative avoidance, or we're procrastinating on something, but it's also a way to just kind of cope. Like, I think that that's why there is such a popularity to animal videos, like when we can see the cute and cuddly kitten pictures, or we see the panda that has befriended some other kind of creature, like it gives us a sense of hope. So it's easy to see how those things can pull us in, and then also on the flip side, become distractors of our life.
Yeah. It is very easy to post something and just pretend that you feel good.
Yeah.
It convinces yourself too, doesn't it? Not just everybody else. You believe it in the end too. So, yeah. So tell me, what amazing things have you got coming up in the near future? Tell me.
Yeah, awesome. So I continue to, really lean into my Soulprint method, which really touches on some of the things that we talked about, honoring the femininity and the fluidity, and really cultivating intuition as well as honoring the masculine side of ourself and our KPIs, our metrics, the linear. So that is my signature coaching program. And that's really what is lighting me up. It's really seeing the integration and helping people integrate all aspects of themselves to honor every facet of themselves. So yeah, that's really just something that I continue to look at, lean into.
Is that one-to-one coaching or is that group coaching? Okay.
That's one-to-one. Yep.
Cool. Okay. So anyone wanted to find out more about that, how can they get in touch with you, Casey?
They can visit me online at kcrossi.com. And I also have a gift for your listeners.
Oh, nice.
It's so fun. It's a free 3-part video series. It's called Know Thyself and Lead. So it's really kind of the emerging leaders quick start guide that gives them a whole meditation exercise on how to dream big.
Nice.
It also connects them to their ikigai, and it gives them a few strategies to continue to rise and plan and rise.
It connects them to the ikigai. What was that?
Ikigai. What
was that?
The Japanese term for never-ending improvement. And so that it's a Kaizen philosophy. So Kaizen basically translate to never-ending improvement. Ikigai is really our deep understanding of our purpose. It connects us to what we're good at, what the world needs, and our vocation and mission. And when we can really hone that down, we get to our sweet spot that again aligns with our core values. And it just gives us a very solid foundation to sprout from.
Fascinating. I think I definitely will be signing up for that after this podcast show.
Yeah, that's
just fascinating.
Rossi.com/guide. So super easy. We can put the link in the show notes. But
yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any lasting words of wisdom or advice for my listeners, what would that be?
It would be shine bright, my friend, that you have so many megawatts inside of you waiting to be birthed and illuminate the world, and just trust yourself and keep showing up and keep shining brightly.
Perfect. I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for your time, Casey. I've had an absolute perfect time. Thanks.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Happy, Inspired, Motivated podcast. I'll be back next week bringing more meditation, mindset, and motivation for your happy and successful life. To find out more about our community, go to tarachatzakis.com/happy, inspired, motivated.